Hey folks, I'm here in Delaware with Brian, and we're going to teach you how to pick the right fishing kayak for your needs. All right, so we're going to break this down in terms of, first off, the type of water that you're going to fish. I think that's the most important thing that you need to consider. You know, are you fishing on, in big water? We just crossed the Chesapeake Bay to come over here from the West Shore to here in Delaware. Right. That requires a specific kind of boat where you're out there in big open water, and you can get in those bigger swells, or a whitewater boat, a river boat, and I say river boat. We'll get into that discussion what a river boat is, but one that handles whitewater bigger than better than say that big water boat. Right. Boats that are generalists, so that they do lots of different types of fisheries well. And then in special case, and it's a lot of what I've been doing recently with the inflatables, is your shallow water specialist. So we'll get into that and we'll look at an example of those four.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's start with that, and then later we're going to talk about different material, hull materials, and then we're going to talk a little bit about propulsion options. Whether it's pedal, paddle, or power. So for sure, the Hobie Pro Angler 14 is a big water boat. I know I've had mine in some pretty big swells out in the Chesapeake. Yeah. What do you look for in a big water boat?
Well, first of all, you look for stability, obviously, because you need something that's going to keep you upright. You need something that's going to be probably in the 14-foot range or more, maybe 13 to 14 anyway. Something with kind of a cut-in bow that's going to get you through the, if you're going to surf launch or something, get you through those breakers.
So we're heading outside to look at a couple other big water boats, and you can see the selection they have here. You'd mentioned the Big Water 132. I mean, it has it in its name.
Yep, right here we've got the Old Town Big Water 132. This was one of our demo models, but this kayak has a real, cut-in, streamlined bow.
So I've actually been in one of these out on Lake Erie in really big water. Okay. In some pretty big swells, and been out there with my buddy Chuck Earls, who's a kayak fishing guide out there. Yeah. And I think early in the year, I followed him out in one of these, the Take 2, which is a big boat, but I don't know that it's necessarily a big water boat, because I was spearing into those waves and it was just washing through. Okay. Whereas Chuck was in this, in this boat, and he was able to, and we had him motored up with the Torqeedo ultralight 1103s. Mm-hmm. He was able to maintain speed charging out into those. We started out and they were 5-footers, but they moved up to 7-footers that were right on the edge of breaking. Right. Different than out here. Like we get anywhere over 4-footers here, and they're already breaking, and it's different. Lake Erie's different, but you're right, and this hull is a great big water boat because it has that ability to pierce through. You're coming up over a wave, and it pushes it out away from you. Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. But you talked about stability, and I know you know better as a paddler. Sure. Talk to me about primary stability and secondary stability.
Sure. So, every boat is designed differently on the side of it here. So, as you kind of have your head over the side of the boat, you can kind of feel that boat's, well, first you're going to feel the primary stability, which, is kind of just how you sit in the seat. As you lean and put your head over there, you're going to feel that secondary stability of a boat kick in. And that's based, all on the design of the hull, how good that secondary stability is.
So I'm going to simplify it even more. Primary stability fights you early on in that lean over. Yep. Secondary starts fights you late in that lean over. Correct. Yep. And when you lean over further, it actually gives you a little bit more maneuverability. Mm-hmm. And that's going to come into play maybe a little bit later when we talk about the whitewater boats.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Another great option right here behind you in terms of big water boats. We got the Jackson Kayak NAR. I've not spent much, had much seat time in it, but I know from talking with buddies that own this and just knowing Jameson that and his team at Jackson, they designed this to be a big water boat, and it's my what I've heard, and not what I've experienced though, but it's a fairly quick and efficient haul in terms of a big water boat.
Yeah, so it comes with the new Jackson Mark IV drive, obviously. This is one of our demos right here. Jameson actually took us out recently and we filmed locally here. But yeah, we got some time in the NAR, and the drive is smooth and quick, like you said. But yeah, big water boat, great standing, pierces through some chop. So yeah, it's great offering from Jackson.
Nice. So if you want to learn more about big water kayak fishing skills, look in the kayak fishing skills playlist. And I have a seminar that I did, is actually on Lake Fork, big water kayak fishing skills. I talk about navigation. I talk about learning that point of no return on leaning at primary and secondary stability, and some other big water skills. Let's go ahead and move on to, we'll say, riverboats.
Okay, sure.
So riverboats, for sure, that's my start in this sport. I mean, I was a kayak fishing guide, in Potomac, Upper Potomac, Shenandoah, Susquehanna, Rappahannock.
Yeah.
I did some James and New River trips. People generally think, hey, a riverboat is short and maneuverable, right? To be able to handle that maneuvering through whitewater, and I think there's some validity to that design. What do you have in that lineup in terms of a whitewater capable boat? Right.
Well, first of all, let's start right here with the Coosa HD. Jackson was one of the originators of the riverboat with the original Coosa, and then folks wanted something bigger, wider, a little faster, so they came out with the Coosa HD. That seat can trim forward and aft too, like if you're in a flat water section, you move that seat up, the bow will dive down a little bit more, and you can track better. You're trying to ferry across current or whatever, you can move that seat back, have some of those cross currents go underneath the boat. But great riverboat. Then moving down the line, the Bonafide SS 127, real popular in that in the river.
So 12.5-foot boats, roughly.
Yep, exactly. That seat's going to go a little higher in the Bonafide if you want a higher seat. We've got more of the Jackson Liska, a nice kind of open platform, real nice maybe for a fly fisherman too.
So fairly low. Low profile. There's not a lot for things to get caught on, which I think, if you are fly fishing, having, if you're stripping and having, a lot of, having that line get caught on stuff is an issue.
And you can
I also think in terms though of wind, real windy days, when you have a low profile boat.
Exactly. Yep. You have a lower seat, lower profile boat, you're not going to get blown around as much.
Yep.
And then more of a even more basic Bonafide is the RS 117. Seat's not as high. This would be a lower profile boat that we kind of just mentioned.
So I'm going to throw in one wrinkle, and I'm going to tell you, and I'm actually looking over here at this Native Ultimate FX15.
Yep.
People wouldn't think, hey, there's a good riverboat. I'm going to tell you, those boats that are lightweight and have a large footprint.
Yep.
There's something to that. One of my favorite boats for fishing the upper, fishing the Susquehanna, was the Wilderness Systems Commander 140. And it isn't made anymore. The reason I like that, especially in the summer, I actually filmed a good bit of my Summer River Smallmouth Pattern DVD in that boat, because it's a great lightweight drag-in boat, but it's a large footprint that isn't that heavy. And a larger footprint lets you go skinnier when the river gets low and clear. And I know everyone that just fished the Hobie Bass Open Series, or even when they're coming to fish the Native Watercraft Big Bass Power Hour here in early October, the river still can be low and clear. And having shallow draft because it's a big footprint. Don't overlook those, and what do we call them? Generally hybrids.
Yeah, sit inside, canoe kayak hybrid kind of thing. Yeah. And here's a couple more right over here to your right.
So this is not the HD.
So this is the original Kilroy that they brought back this year. Yep. So it's really based off on the Cuda 12 hull, which was one of their first kayak fishing kayaks. So that kayak is great. In the river
advantage of something like this, which is essentially a sit inside with a very large cockpit. It's less material, so it's lighter weight.
It's lighter. Yep.
And you can throw a bunch of rods and stuff in here, and gear, and grab the front of that and just drag it through the woods.
Yep, exactly.
And get to those spots. Disadvantage, it's not self-bailing like a sit on top.
Right,
so it's,
exactly. So
it's a trade-off.
Any water that gets in there, you gotta get it out somehow.
You take a big wave train, there's going to be some water coming in, and really that's just a matter of, you get yourself a car washing sponge and a hand bilge, you're good to go.
Good to go, right.
And there are trade-offs with that sort of compromise of, hey, you want the advantage of that lightweight and throw all your gear in and drag through the woods in fairly lightweight.
Yep.
Got work to bail a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to talk a little bit later about, a different hull material, the inflatables, and how there's some different skills and different material or different gear that you need to carry to do a patch, but you get the benefit of shallow draft stability and stealth.
Yep.
We'll get into that a little bit later. But any other river boats that you want to show me?
Well, we were kind of blown away with how this boat paddled, the Old Town Discovery Solo 119. It's obviously a kind of canoe style. I don't know, even want to call it a kayak. But you got rod holders here, plenty of storage for gear. We're excited to take it down a river this fall.
Very cool. Would you put bags in it?
Probably some type of bag, yeah.
So flotation bags are just something that you use to fill up space so that, when you really take a big wave over it, it's just giving you extra flotation and it displaces water that would get in.
Yep, correct. Yep.
Nice. Tandem boats like this Jackson Kayak Take 2 are sort of a special case, and I don't know, what advice do you have for folks that are looking for a tandem kayak?
Sure. Well, first of all, the big thing people want to think about is weight. Do they have to car top it? How are they going to transport it? Most tandem kayaks you can transport in the bed of a pickup truck. That's an ideal situation. Something like putting on top of an SUV. You might want to consider one of the lighter options out there. Hurricane kayaks, they kind of specialize in lighter boats. They have some light tandem options.
And we'll talk a little bit about, are they thermoform boats?
They are thermoform, correct.
Okay, we'll talk about that and hull material a little bit later.
Yep.
So generalist boats, we're looking at boats that maybe can handle some white water, some big water, and I think we've already shown some boats that I'd consider generalist.
Right.
They can do, that maybe don't specialize in any one single kind of fishery or application. I think the SS-127 is maybe a generalist. What are some other ones?
Yeah, sure. So let's start right here with the Jackson Bite. They have a recreational and an angler. Only difference is the angler comes with rod holders. This is a real good generalist boat. You can take this in a river, you can take it here coastal, you can take it in ponds, lakes. So it's a great all-around boat. Something like the New Canoe Flint. It's right around a 12-foot boat. A little more streamlined. It might do better here coastal, but the seat is a little higher, so that's something you have to think about. Real wide open, probably good for fly fishing as well. And even something like this Liquid Logic Coupe, it would be really nice in a river, class 1-2, kind of has a rounded top. That's a great little boat as well.
So we're going to talk about seat and seat adjustability, seat height. But before we do that, I have to address just what's behind you, Brian. And I'm only showing a little bit. How many? What is your stock?
So right now we're probably right around somewhere 700 boats. We have good inventory. You know, we finally got caught up after all of COVID, where everything was kind of gone from here, and you know, manufacturers were struggling to keep up. We're kind of almost back to normal now, so we're kind of at our normal running inventory, which is good.
And you ship far and wide, I know, and people get to take advantage of the no sales tax, buying it.
Correct. Yeah, Delaware's a tax-free state. Shipping now has got a little crazy because freight's gone up so much. So we try to do a white glove delivery service on our own.
Right.
So tomorrow Derek's heading up to Pennsylvania, then Harper's Ferry, Virginia on some deliveries. So, you know, you'll see the Delaware Paddle Sports truck.
So, or you could do what I'm doing is coupling a visit to Delaware Paddle Sports with, I got my son waiting for me in the truck. We're going to the beach after this.
There's plenty of stuff to do in the area. So.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about seat height and why you would want, you know, to pick an option with the adjustable high and low seating options.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, there's not any seats on most of these kayaks because we store them inside, but you know, this is the Jackson Kusa FD. So this seat goes on this seat base super easy. Now it's in the low position. You know, if you want maximum stability, you know, you want to be less affected by wind, you put the seat in the lower position. If you're doing a little bit of sight fishing or something, you know, you can come up here to the high position. You know, you might want to think about a little longer paddle being up in the higher position as well. That's why these adjustable paddles they make now are great.
So give me a run through different boats with different high-low seating positions.
Yep. So Bonafide really has the highest position, which I believe is around 9 inches. That's, you know,
9 inches off the hull.
Yeah, off the hull. Yep. So the Jackson lineup, you know, you have your Kusa HD, Kusa FD that are adjustable. The NAR has a really nice high-low setting. Obviously, the Tandem Take 2 we saw. In the Hobie lineup, you have your Outback that adjusts high-low. Obviously, the Pro Angler does as well. Your New Canoe really has a set height, but that seat does swivel 360 on some of the models. Yeah, and then Old Town really has just one setting that kind of aligns your hips with your pedals, which is ideal.
So we're up here in the sup loft.
Yep.
And we came up here to look at the next category of fishing kayak, and this one's inflatable.
Yeah, we just got this in yesterday. This is the new NRS Fishing CUDA 126.
And I've just finished setting up mine, and there's a couple videos that are either going to be out by the time this one's out or are going to come out. I actually did a float trip with Jed. We did the North Fork Shenandoah, and I did a tutorial on the logistics of a float trip, how to set up a float trip, because I feel like a lot of those kind of evergreen topics that always help people that are new coming into it are important.
Oh yeah.
And I did a sort of bare bones rigging before I put the Torqeedo on it, which it's on there now.
Okay.
I basically put some of the you know, on these switch pads, I put some of the Omega Pro rod holders with the Mighty Mount XLs, and what else did I do? I put an anchor of some sort on it, and I put a leash. I put a Rogue Fishing Company like just drag strap on it. That was it.
Wow.
So I did a bare bones trip with it, and it was awesome. So the advantages of it, and you're gonna see a lot of it, you know, on the channel in the Inflatable Kayaks playlist. Mm-hmm. The main advantage and what the inflatables are, they're a shallow water specialist. So I love them for fishing for the snakehead, because the snakehead go super shallow.
Sure.
For sure, redfish get into some really skinny water. You know, that incoming tide, that fish is the first one in there, swimming up in there.
Sorry.
It's all right, man. It happens. To be able to chase in after them, you know, in just super skinny water. I draft 2 1/8, 2 1/4 inch in this rig. So shallow draft, primary stability. There is nothing more stable to stand up in than an inflatable, which really makes it nice for, you know, standing up and sight fishing for snakehead, redfish, or even up on the Susquehanna where we're smallmouth fishing, and it's super low and clear. Huge advantage to go shallow, have that stability, but also stealth. There's something about an inflatable that the hull slap on a boat like this is nothing. It just eats that wave.
Right.
It doesn't slap and tell the fish, hey, there's something hard here that's unnatural. And I get closer to fish when I'm an inflatable. So I'm happy to see you jumping in and rigging up some of these inflatables and getting that into rotation here.
Yeah, we're excited to carry these, definitely.
All right, so we just talked about the inflatable hull as a material, and that has its whole set of advantages, but also the extra stuff that you got to carry. We talked about the terried type B. If you carry that with you with an inflatable, that's an important thing. It's just a temporary patch material. If you do get a puncture or a slice, and in my case, it was Micah Canelli running me over with his Torqeedo. I was able to fix that in 20 minutes and get back in motion because I had the terried type B in the K-Pump Mini. So inflatable is a good option if you carry that. Just like if you're a mountain biker, what do you carry with you?
Right. Well, you carry a tire repair and pump.
Patch kit. Yep. So let's talk about some of the other materials. I know you have. You got a crazy carbon fiber one there. This is a special boat.
Yep.
We'll talk about the carbon fiber. This is a thermoform boat, and then we got rotomolded boats in addition to the inflatables.
Correct. So this is the Hobie Lynx. It's been one of our more popular platforms over the last 2 years, especially for the snakehead folks. Most people that have this boat also have like a Pro Angler or Outback or some other kind of boat.
Yep.
This is kind of their second in their quiver.
And because it's lightweight and fairly flat, it is another shallow water specialist.
Yeah, exactly. So, very flat, very stable. That rudder allows you to turn on a dime, very maneuverable. It gets you real skinny water.
Most boats are rotomolded. We got a Revolution here. Our Pro Anglers, most of the boats we've shown are rotomolded. Can you explain what rotomolded means? So
rotomolded is they take like a plastic resin dust, put it in an oven, rotate it around many times, heat it up real high temperature, and then they remove the two sections and let the boat cool. So that creates a rotomolded kayak.
And that's
Standard,
most kayaks that you think of as a kayak.
Yep.
So, and then this one's carbon fiber.
Yep, so this is Eric Jackson's new creation, Apex Watercraft. This is full carbon fiber, manufactured by
Generalist
in Portugal, I believe the name is.
Okay.
So they make Olympic slalom kayaks. They've been making carbon boats for a long time, so they really have this dialed in. 40 pounds this thing weighs. Super cool, super sleek. Be great with a Torqeedo on it.
So I've rigged one, and you can look for the video of me rigging one of the prototypes of the Apex tier with an ultralight 1103.
Yep.
Good segue for propulsion.
Yep.
So paddles, pedal drive, or power. Let's talk about just boats that paddle well. What makes a boat paddle well?
Sure. I mean, it comes down to hull design, really. How that boat stays in a straight line if you're in a lake or pond or something, or even a slow-moving river. Just a boat that's going to hold a real nice line out there when you're trying to get from A to B.
So longer boats that have more of a keel line are going to be your better paddling boats?
Correct. Yeah, the longer boats traditionally are better paddling boats than something shorter that doesn't have a drop-down skeg or something to help with tracking. So
with some of the river boats we mentioned, they're shorter, and that's paddling in a more maneuverable. So the longer you are, the more glide for covering a lot of distance.
Right.
And then the shorter it is, the more maneuverable you are in moving water in white water situations.
Yep.
So let's talk about pedal drives. And I want you to maybe give me a couple examples of different pedal drives. And I think one big hurdle with a pedal drive is how shallow can you go?
Right, exactly. All right, this is the Hobie 360 Pro Angler 12. Really one of our most popular kayaks here, especially for tournament anglers that need maximum maneuverability. So this kayak can move in any direction, sideways. You can kind of walk yourself along a bank when you're fishing. It's based on this 360-degree steering right here, so that'll turn your drive in any direction. That arrow kind of tells you what way you're going to be going when you're pedaling. Let me pull the drive out here. So all that's doing is spinning this around, and as you pedal, it'll propel you in that direction. So super cool. And if you impact something, got kick-up fins, so the fins will, you know, move past the object and then fall right back down as you clear the obstruction. I'm just going to show you one of our more popular boats here, the Old Town PDL 120. They also make this in a 106. You know, great pedal kayak for right around 2,500 bucks. You know, this is the Old Town PDL drive. It just deploys down just like this. You lock it right in, and then you have a bicycle style pedal that gives you instant reverse. That's forward, and then that's reverse. So super cool for maneuverability. They all come with obviously a rudder for steering, seats highly adjustable, a great overall platform. All right, so this is the Jackson Mark IV. This is Jackson's pedal drive. So it's based on a dagger, kind of dagger board concept. You can see your propeller right here. Now as I pull this gray lever, you can deploy the pedal system down below the keel. And then if you impact something, it'll kick right up into the boat, you know, thus protecting your pedal system. So very sleek design for a river, you know, anywhere where you might have an obstruction.
Obviously, I'm the Torqeedo guy, and you're one of my better dealers. Yep. You sell a lot of Torqeedo ultralights. That is its a whole other playlist on this YouTube channel. You want to learn about rigging a Torqeedo? I'd be shocked. I mean, they're out there. There are models that I haven't done yet, right, but there's going to be something close to what you need. But let's talk about, you know, I know you have the Hobie Evolve here. Yep. I know you sell Bixby. Correct. I know you rig a lot of different, do you do bow mount installs, I'm sure?
We have, yes.
Okay. Yep. A lot of different options.
Yep.
Tell me about some of the installs that you've done.
Sure. So shout out to our Torqeedo guy, Matt Trucks. He does all of our Torqeedo installs here. He's done 403, 1103. These are mostly on Outbacks and Pro Anglers. We've done them on a Big Water 132 we did recently. So yeah, we can, you know, if it's been done before, or we can try to figure out how to do it. Matt Trucks has been great with that.
Yeah, he's like rigging brilliant.
Yeah, he is, definitely.
I will say generally with motors, the concept of, hey, are you putting it on the stern? Are you putting it on the bow? Are you putting midship? The Hobie Evolve certainly has its place. You know, folks that want access to that. If they fish in a really grassy area, they want to be able to have it right in their Mirage Drive to pull it and pull the grass out of there. Yep. Another option for that is the Ultralight 1103 that doesn't worry about grass. It just destroys it.
Right.
It does. Exactly. It's a lot of power. When you compare different motors, there's a lot of different terminology in terms of watt output or pound thrust or horsepower. It's really hard to compare a lot of them, but I will say generally that I'm pretty sure that the Torqeedo Ultralight 1103 has that top billing of most powerful, and it's about 105 pound thrust electric outboard. Yep. Going down from there, if you look at pound thrust, you're going to get a good estimation. The other part is range, and whether you're powering that with a battery that's included with it, or whether you're getting your own batteries. What lithium batteries do you sell? Sure.
So with Torqeedo, we normally do the 916 watt hour battery that comes with it.
Yep.
If folks want extra battery range, I encourage them to buy another battery. Right. So they do two of those. But we do sell Dakota lithium, FPV lithium. as other options.
And those are going to be for other bow mount trolling motors.
For trolling motors, that type of thing. Yeah.
And I'll say, generally, it's tough to gauge what kind of range you're going to get out of this trolling motor as opposed to the Torqeedo electric outboard.
Yeah.
In terms of what speed and range you're going to get out of it, it's difficult to really gauge that. But if you do go with, say, Dakota Lithium, make sure that you find a way to get it in a waterproof case. Because I know that I run a Dakota Lithium to power my Humminbird Helix 10, and I've destroyed one of those batteries in salt water.
Yeah.
So I do have a video on that in the kayak rigging playlist about how to use a Pelican box and a Yak Attack through-hole wiring kit to make that fully, and some Yak Power stuff to make it fully waterproof. So if you go the bow mount trolling motor option, for sure check out, there's a Facebook group with a lot of experts called Motorized Kayak Fishing. Dig around in that to find different options, but make sure you protect your investment and waterproof your lithium battery. So anything else you want to add just in terms of just general kayak fishing, how to choose the right boat?
Sure. We try to help people demo here as well. So if you want to demo a kayak and we have inventory, we will absolutely let you. We just require you give us a couple days notice so we can get the kayak ready, make sure it's available. We're not on the water, so we'll show you how to get to the water. If we have staff, we can take someone, send someone with you. But yeah, demo's a good option as well.
Test drives are always a great option.
Exactly.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Brian.
Yep, thank you.